Hey, everybody, is the world's favorite reconstructionist from Crash Tech, Eric Brown and Phil Relly, and you are listening to the #1 show designed specifically for attorneys, expert crash investigators, police officers, and anybody else involved in the investigation, negotiation, and litigation of motor vehicle crashes. Today's episode number 46, it's showtime, with special guest appearances from the guys from PCARS. So buckle up, here we go. Before I finish this intro, another life will be lost to a vehicle crash, and the $500 billion economic impact of vehicle crashes will only keep growing. Are you an attorney, expert witness, police officer, or insurance adjuster in charge of negotiating, investigating, or litigating vehicle collision cases? If so, then you're in the right place. The Expert Angle podcast was created for you because we believe that the industry must evolve, grow, and get better daily. And the only way to do that is by building the best team of experts possible to ensure that these crashes are handled efficiently, accurately, and honestly in order to get justice for the victims. We're Eric Brown and Phil Relly, and this is the Expert Angle. Welcome back to the show, everyone. This episode of the Expert Angle podcast is brought to you by Virtual Crash Accident Reconstruction Software. If you are tired of having to purchase, upkeep, and run multiple programs during an investigation, Virtual Crash is the cure. With Virtual Crash, you can build 3D environments using your actual scene data. You can simulate, animate, and create awesome visuals. You can also use the new momentum analysis tool for vehicle motion. Basically, Virtual Crash is the complete accident reconstruction software solution. Visit vcrashusa.com today to download your free trial or schedule a live one-on-one demonstration. All right, guys, here we are back from break, and we have a really special treat for you. The most exciting news, Phil's not in this episode, so everybody can applaud and cheer for that one. Instead, we brought in a special guest host who has been on before. So, Steve, I'm gonna designate you as our special guest host. How about that?
All right, I'm moving up in the world. I like that.
That way, Greg and Mark can send you some shade later on, some hate mail and everything. And yeah,
they already do that, so it's okay.
Yeah, so super special show for you guys. Thanks for sticking with us during the break. We are back from break. We got a bunch of brand new episodes coming out. We've got Andy Rich coming up, John Daly coming up. We have a bunch of great episodes that we've been recording while we've been off. If you are watching the episode on YouTube, don't mind the construction materials in my background. The gym is finally going in on the other side of that door over there so that I'm not fat. So, it's a work in progress. It's going, but, hey. So our episode today, as you guys noticed, if you're watching on YouTube, Phil is not here. Unfortunately, the start of the school year is kicking back off. And, as most people know, Phil's a school resource officer for his full-time job. And after the Uvalde shooting, as everybody knows, there's some heightened scrutiny for school resource officers. So he is dealing with all of that, but he will be back with us here in a few weeks, hopefully live on the episodes for everybody. So in the meantime, I brought some better entertainment, and I brought the guys from Pennsylvania State Police over here because as we get closer and closer to fall, I think everybody around the country knows what that means. It is time for the PSP conference. However, there's no PSP conference this year. We just got word it's been canceled. Oh man, that's horrible. So Steve or Greg, somebody or Mark, I don't know who's the guy right. Greg, you've always been in charge of the PSP conference.
Yeah, he's got more longevity than I do.
Okay. So Greg, I'll tell you what, we're going to turn it over to you and let everybody know what is going on this year, because I'm not going to lie, and we've said it before on this show, the PSP conference, hands down, is the best conference that is put on in this country every year for crash reconstructionists. I will go out on a limb and say that. I've been to your guys' conference almost every single year for the last decade, and I'm telling you, I look forward to it every fall. The speakers that are there, the crash tests that are there, the camaraderie that goes on, just everything about it is fan-freaking-tastic. I'm telling you, it is the #1 conference. And if you guys are listening to this and haven't been there, this is the year you need to go. But as I stated, PSP is not doing the conference. So what is going on this year? What are we going to do? How are we going to get this invaluable content out here to the masses so that everybody knows?
Well, we're still going to make it happen. So PSP, due to COVID and inflation and who knows what else, several different factors, PSP has some severe budgetary issues, and they have basically postponed all training, not just the PSP Reconstruction Seminar. So we are improvising and adapting and overcoming. And PCARS, who's the Pennsylvania Collision Analysis and Reconstruction Society, we've been supporting sort of hand in hand to a certain extent with PSP for several years now, many years now. PCARS is going to step up and host a seminar. We've been fortunate that we've had some people come forward and make some donations to cover some of the expenses. And the unfortunate news is we have to charge a registration fee, which we've never done before. We've had PSP support and some other people have helped us out through the years. We just couldn't figure out a way to make it happen this year without a registration fee, but $99 for 3 days isn't a bad deal, I don't think.
And real quick, let me just hop in just so that nobody on here sends any kind of shade towards your guys' agency. For guys that might be in different states or in different countries that may venture over this way, who knows? Budgets are just tight because of COVID. So that's understandable. Being from Ohio, it's hard to come to the defense of Pennsylvania. We're kind of rivals on every level with OSU and who's your guys? Is it Penn State or Crap State or something? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, and obviously the Browns and the Steelers. So but I will come to your guys' defense on that. Every state, every municipality, as you guys know, is just hurting. So that's not unreasonable. So the fact that PCAR stepped up is huge. And the registration fee, I'm telling everybody, don't even worry about it. Best $99 you're ever going to spend in your life. They're right. And as we go through the show, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the content you guys have planned so that they will see the value. For anybody that has been to these conferences, Rex is going to charge a fee. And back when the ARC Network used to have their conference out in Vegas, and they charged a fee. Everybody charges a fee. It is what it is, guys. That's how groups like this are able to get the amount of quality content that they are out here to the masses. Make sure that we're still supporting these guys this year, because this is going to be a heck of a conference. I know that you guys don't do anything small scale. So let's dive in here just real quick and talk a little bit about PCARS, because as this is going to be the new conference, is PCARS, this is a kind of like for the Ohio officers that listen, this is like OTARA, I'm guessing, for us. So this is not a for-profit company that's coming in here. This is basically your collection of your reconstructionists in Pennsylvania.
Right. We're a nonprofit association like OTARA, NAPARS, all the different associations. The registration fee goes directly back into the conference, where we do not make any money. We don't take any salary. It's a nonprofit. Perfect.
Okay. And so how long has PCARS been around? You guys have been around for quite a while. I think for longer than OTARA even, I think.
You remember, Pez, 12 years, maybe, something like that?
Yeah, it's probably where PCARS finally started coming up. I'm looking through my notes here now. Because we've had that since before 2016. I know that. So
while he's looking for that date, what are these Browns that you're talking of? You have professional football in Ohio?
No, we don't actually. It's a farming team for OSU, just in case they decide to go back to college and get some education. So we're hoping that OSU does better this year. Last year was rough, but hey, it's Ryan Day's first real attempt at being the head coach. So we'll see how we do this year. Hopefully good. So let's talk about location and dates for this conference, though. So we are not in Gettysburg and we are not in State College, because that was my main objection, is I can't set foot on State College. Because that weird Nittany Lion thing just keeps roaring all throughout the night, and it's super annoying. And then I got to go outside and yell OHIO, and it just becomes this whole thing, this whole ordeal. So where are we at this year, guys? What kind of venue do you have in store for us?
We're in Erie, Pennsylvania.
All right, and we're at in Erie. So Erie's a pretty good city. Lots to do. My best friend in the whole world is a Erie police officer. He's
Erie
part of their motor unit.
A lot of people don't realize that Erie is a nice little city in the summer, which is July.
Before the snow comes.
Yeah, it is a really nice location. So we were searching different locations, and the Bayfront Convention Center and the 2 attached hotels just made us a far better deal than anyone else. We're trying to do this on a PCARS budget and a couple of donations without PSP money. So we kind of had to take the best deal, and Erie was the best deal. And it's unfortunate for some guys from the Eastern Shore. It's a longer drive, but trust me, look it up on the internet. It's a beautiful location. It's literally right on Lake Erie, the convention center. There's a Sheraton Hotel on one side. There's a Courtyard Marriott on the other side. They're both connected to the convention center. It's going to be a really nice facility. Maybe not an ideal location.
And there's tons to do in Erie. So that's kind of a nice thing too.
Yep. Now, end of October, probably not ideal. It's not summertime in Erie, but it's still going to be nice. We could have a nice warm week, and the facility is very, very nice. I think it's 10 or 12 years old. It looks like it's 3 years old. I visited. It's very, very nice.
Awesome. So every year you guys do live crash testing, or do we got the team coming down that's going to put on the live crashes?
Yep. Brad Muir's team, as usual. We're probably going to do 2 crash tests in the parking lot if it's big enough. If not, we're going to go to Waldemere, which is about 5 miles down the road. It's an amusement park with a big lot. And then I believe I've heard there's a plan, since we're right at Lake Erie, we thought we'd try to take advantage of the fact that we have a lake, and we're probably going to roll or very possibly launch a car into the lake.
I love it. That's going to be exciting. As long as the EPA signs off on that. That's always been our headache in Ohio, is you can't get them to sign off on putting a car into water because of the fluids. Yeah.
So we have a wrecker service up there. It's I think it's one of the Erie police officers' family, and they're going to drain all the fluids and try our best to get the clearances for all that, so we can do that.
Awesome. And actually, I've got you guys on here because I know one of the listeners here is for a neighboring department to mine, and we're working a crash with them. And this is actually the 3rd time this year that we've had a car versus roll-off container dumpster. And so in this crash that we just had, actually, we're going to treat it as an inline momentum problem. So let's actually talk about some recon stuff here live on the podcast. That'll be kind of fun. So we're treating this as an inline momentum problem, right? Because you have a dumpster that, for all intents and purposes, is stopped. So it's a stopped unit, but it's got those metal roller wheels on the bottom, not rubber, and not car axles, but they do roll. And so the car hit it and sent the dumpster, a 20-yard roll-off container that was fully loaded, weighs 10,000 pounds, sent it like 60 feet down the road rotating, and the car went, after impact, a city block while rotating, with the whole passenger side sheared off, and ended up in the next intersection down. So like 160 feet, 170 feet, something like that. But trying to get a drag factor for one of those roll-off containers after impact of what it takes to get that thing rolling, and the amount of friction that it has for a post-impact drag factor. If you guys have any connections, because if anybody does, it's going to be you guys, for a company that would bring out a roll-off container, if we could smash a car into it and see if we could measure the drag factor on that roll-off container, that would actually really help in a criminal prosecution case that we have coming up here in Ohio, if you guys want to help us out.
What we did, many years ago, it might have been it was before the first seminar. I actually was teaching a class, and for whatever reason, I don't know. Well, I do know. Corporal on the job's son was working at a crane company. And I said, hey, what do you think the chances are he could bring a crane out to the class one day? So he called him. He said, yeah, what day you want it there? So we actually dragged a couple of cars with the crane, wheels locked, wheels not locked, and compared them to the dreaded drag sled back in the day. But my suggestion to you, what we did back then, we used a crane, and we went to a foundry, and we got a large scale that would measure up to, I forget what, 20,000 pounds or something, and use that like a drag sled. Yeah. You may want to, try to get some heavy wrecker truck, go to a foundry or somewhere and get a very heavy duty scale that'll measure that much and drag the dumpster.
Well, and so funny enough, actually, we thought about that. And we also thought about, because all the municipalities involved obviously don't have the money to fund any kind of testing. It is what it is. But my other thought was, if we had something that we could push the dumpster up to speed, and we know what speed it's at, and then disengage the car from it that's pushing it, or the truck or whatnot, and then measure, with a radar or something like that, and measure the distance it takes to come to a stop. And you could actually almost do like a skid test, basically. So I don't know, another idea, but I was just thinking, if you guys are looking for crash test ideas, let me just throw my hat in the ring there and suggest that one. So let's talk about those. So we've got some crash tests coming up. Can you guys tell us anything about the speakers that are going to be coming up? Who do you have? Anybody good?
Can't tell you. All right. So we have the mayor of Reconville, Wade Bartlett, is coming down.
Wade, nice.
Wade has been down several times. We've missed him for a few years here, and the COVID issue was hard, but Wade's coming down again. I'm not sure his topic yet. We're debating on a few things. We are sort of evaluating the location that we have and one or two opportunities that we have this year that we haven't in the past. And Wade might sort of tailor his topic to what we may be able to do with the facility there. Someone that you just mentioned, we have Andy Rich coming over from Ohio. I think he's going to talk about multiple departure momentum and
his
one other
cats.
topic.
He's going to talk about his cats.
Well, of course, he's a cat guy, but
yeah,
I mean, he's still okay.
Yeah, we'll let it go.
We have Bill Fauché coming up from North Carolina now, formerly out of California. He was up probably 5 years ago, and he did a heavy trucks talk. He's going to do, I'm not sure exactly what, but something else on heavy trucks. And if we're going to talk Rex later, he's going to, not at PCARS seminar, but at Rex, we're going to lay a truck over on its side again so he can talk about the workings underneath the truck, the air brakes and everything else without having to get on a creeper, is one of the plans for Rex coming up next April. I see on the schedule we have a guy named Eric Brown. I don't know really who that is.
He's kind of he's going to ruin the whole thing. Super
I've heard good things about him, but so I think he's
not personable at all. Really boring to listen to speak.
Ethics and report writing or something like that is what I've been hearing.
I don't know if I'm going to do report writing. You know what? Actually, I am going to talk about report writing because let me just throw this out there and ruffle some feathers now so that y'all can have something to look forward to if you come out there. Can we please, for the love of God, stop writing reports like kindergartners and other people from like the 60s and 70s. Have you guys ever noticed this? I don't know if you have or not, right? But as far as police go, God love them. Like I'm an FTO, so I deal kind of with this stuff, and I teach at the academy. Police officers, like when we learned, if you guys all remember back when you were in your FTO program, right? I was trained by an officer who came on in the 90s, who was trained by an officer who came on in the 80s, who was trained by an officer who came on in the 70s or 60s, so forth and so on. What was the education level of police officers in the 50s and 60s? Pretty much, they just wanted big dudes that could beat the dick off people, right? And that was pretty much the end of it. That was the policing back in the, I mean, because you're talking back in the gangster days and prohibition and stuff. I mean, it was a whole different world, and we have carried report writing forward from then because that's how you were taught to do it. And so when I read recon reports, little things like stop typing in the third person. It's totally fine. In 2022, you can put, I went to the scene and did this. You don't have to put this officer went to the scene and did this. Just so frustrating. So frustrating. But yeah, I do. I want to dive into ethics because I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. There has been a rise lately. Not saying any of the police officers, but I think the officers, at least if nothing else, need to be aware of it. That it's coming to a court near them. But a rise of people with no practical real world experience. They have never been on a crash scene a day in their life, that now are holding themselves out to be experts in crash reconstruction. And they are coming into court with big budgets being paid to say whatever they are being paid to say. And we need to know how to recognize it, how to counter it, and how to go on the attack against it. Because there is no place in this field for somebody who is going to come out here and be and write opinions that they are being paid to write. That is not what crash reconstruction is. I'm sorry if that ruffles feathers. But that's my opinion. And you know what? We're going to start taking these people to task. So yeah, it's this is going to be kind of a hard hitting topic for me, at least. We'll see if we can get some people to walk out. But if they walk out, those are probably the people that we were talking about in the conference.
And that's been part of the theory of this seminar since the start. This was to take people from, okay, I just completed 6 weeks of training. I'm a reconstructionist and I'm an expert for the next 30 years. You can't do that in this day and age. So part of the theory of this seminar from day one has been to try to give guys good training so they can write better reports, so they can go into court against these storytellers. I'm going to be nice and not say liars for hire or the other words for them.
That is a whole topic of one of our podcasts. Go back and watch it. That's a good one.
So the guys that are paid to come in and tell a story, a good portion of the seminar or a good reason for the seminar is to try to keep guys up to date on their training so that they can combat these guys that are coming in and getting paid big bucks to tell a story to try to get the guy off of the charges.
Yeah. You know, that and how to not accidentally become that person. Because sometimes, you know, when you're walking that edge of, man, just one more little thing and I can get that felony over that misdemeanor. And it becomes hard sometimes to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. And if all I can get's the misdemeanor, that's all I can get. And not step too far and pigeonhole somebody and ruin somebody's life that maybe doesn't need to be ruined. So
how much doubt do you have when you give them the benefit of the doubt?
How much doubt do I have? Quite a bit.
So I've started, I used to say that very regularly in classes, and I've started saying, you might want to use terminology like I was conservative on behalf of the accused or something. Yeah. Because I've seen it happen once. When you say benefit of the doubt, the attorney says, oh, how much doubt did you have?
Right.
So
especially when you got to prove your case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right. And I'm trying to train myself to not say that anymore, to say I was conservative.
Yeah.
Because if I say benefit of the doubt, a good attorney is going to say, oh, you had doubt, did you? How much? 10%, 20%, 30%?
Yep. You know, and these are all topics that we're going to talk about, I think, that need to be talked. And it's the same thing. It's nothing more than, if you think of use of force. Remember when we all went to the academy? Because I think I'm at least as pretty close to as old as most of you guys. I don't think I'm as old as Steve, but you know. So when we went to the academy, did they teach you guys weak hand, strong hand back when we went? Oh, yeah. Now it's support hand, dominant hand.
Support hand, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's no such thing as a weak hand anymore in firearms. It's support hand.
That's right.
So, you know, same exact thing to Greg's point. That's exactly what we're going to talk about. So yeah, that's going to be a good topic to try and get, because I'm not going to lie, cops are not English majors for the most part. Some are. I actually know a few that have a master's degree in English. But you know what? I think we struggle. We rock on the stand. Cops can speak on the level of jurors instead of preaching to them, but we have trouble conveying that in our reports. And I think that needs brushed up just a little bit, just little tweaks here and there. So yeah, I think that'll be a good segment, but enough about me. Let's talk about another one of my regular guests and see if he's going to be there. Anybody from Jeff Moutart's team coming to do some testing this year?
They're on some kind of project in France during the seminar, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
But I talked to Lynn, and some of their research assistants or their associates are going to come down and do some testing. I do not have details on exactly what yet, but they are coming down to do some testing. Okay.
Yeah, I knew they were busy, and that's why I wanted to ask. Normally him or Swaroop are always there, or Darlene or somebody. So, man, I tell you what, and just because I like to plug his business because Jeff's a friend of mine, but yeah, any chance you can get to hear him speak, that's worth $99 right there, to hear him speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So really, any of these guys, Andy, I mean, shoot, I paid $99 to hear Andy talk about his cats. It's so yeah, who else do we have? Any of the other OGs from the field? Does Dr. Dan or John Daly coming by any chance?
We do not have them. You've seen, we've had John Daly probably 4 times over the years. John has been very good to us, but we do not have him on the schedule this year. We have an EDR update in the afternoon like we normally do. You have your choice of a class or an EDR update. We have a guy, I believe it's going to talk about simulations and crash investigation and tie into the patrol vehicle positioning study. If you've been there within the last few years, you've seen that we've taken it wasn't really a Ford Motor Company study, but 5 engineers from Ford in about 2001 did a study on how to position a police car on a traffic stop so as not to get hit as you're outside the car. And they did a very thorough study and a lot of animations, and they did 1 crash test to confirm their thoughts. I thought that maybe there should be more crash testing to prove this beyond computer simulations. In fact, at this point, 20-some-year-old computer simulations. So we have now, I think, 9 or 10 actual crash tests done in this position. We're doing 1 or 2 more this year, and one of the speakers is going to talk about simulation programs, so at least the officers are familiar with them and know to ask for the inputs when they say, the expert on the other side, the guy that's telling the story says, look, it didn't happen the way you're saying. I did the simulation, and look, here's what it shows.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the inputs? Because I've been in a situation where I said, it couldn't happen that way. Let me see the inputs, and they never would provide them because they put whatever they wanted in there to make the simulation go the way that they wanted.
No, and Steve, I'm not belittling your knowledge here at all. You are super duper smart, and we're on our show even with some EDR stuff. But Greg to me has always been the OG of HVEDR stuff. Any chance we're getting an HVEDR update or anything?
We do not have that, but we do have 1 open slot right now. I've talked to someone, I talked to 2 people today actually about that open slot, but that might be a real good one.
Well, and I was just thinking because there's some changes coming out with PCARS, cutting out the hard break event, and just things like that are coming out. I just and you guys know, I think far more than probably anybody else in the world what's actually coming out, because pretty much all the trucks are manufactured right here in Ohio and Pennsylvania. So yeah, I don't know if it's possible to get an HVEDR update. That'd be so helpful to at least know what's going on in the world. And then Steve, I don't know if you've talked to Tony Becker or not, but we just ran into that problem with the new Detroit diesels. The cables for them are different to download the CPCs. So Tony had to have Freightliner make him a special cable. He's the only person in the world that has this cable right now to be able to do the Detroit Diesel 5, the DDEC 5. The CPC wasn't communicating with the truck in a box. They had to build a whole new cable for him.
That's good to know. That makes Tony a prized holder there. Then
don't tell him though. we don't need Tony running around here thinking that he's some big shot now or whatever. But no, it's there's so many changes right now in the world of the HVEDR stuff that I was curious. I actually was being selfish. I wanted to take that class for myself. So if that's a possibility, any of you guys are a wealth of knowledge. I'd love to hear any of you guys speak on it. But for the simulation stuff, just out of curiosity, and I have to ask because he's a sponsor of the show. Is it anybody from Virtual Crash that's doing the simulation stuff?
He's not directly from Virtual. Yeah, wow. He's not directly from Virtual Crash, but that is the program that he uses.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That's I don't know. Again, speaking of trainings to go to, went down to their small group training, and that was the first time I ever met Bob. Pretty much the smartest person on the planet.
Yes.
I was in shock being able to pick his brain for 3 days and listen to stories of the Large Hadron Collider and stuff like it. It was interesting. But yeah, so I know anybody that you guys have though are going to be pretty much top of the people in the industry that are going to come out. Who's doing can we share who's doing the EDR update? Is Rick coming out or anybody like that? Or
Rick is not. I spoke to Rick last week and Rick said if it was in Gettysburg, that wouldn't be too far of a drive for him, but Erie's a little bit of a haul. He's got enough things going on, and I think he might be slowing down on his conference presentations because it involves a lot of travel.
Yeah.
So some other guy named Andy Catman Rich or something like that. Andy's going to do a presentation. Andy teaches hand in hand with Rick very often, I think, the advanced EDR.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, as Andy does with everything, I'm sure Andy will do a great job on it for us.
He actually, we just had him out to teach our crash team there and get them all certified on EDR stuff. So yeah, Andy's a wealth of knowledge. That's great. But if you're going to have him speak at 2 topics, then we have to ask this next very important question. Is there an open bar night after one of these nights?
I've heard a rumor that there is a little restaurant / bar right across the parking lot.
Perfect. Good. Okay.
It's in the same complex. It's walking distance like in Gettysburg. So it should be a good fit. I've heard rumors that there may be something like that going
Perfect.
on.
We like it. And for a special feature, I've heard a rumor. I don't know if this is going to be true yet or not, but I heard a rumor there might be a live podcast show going on from the conference.
Really?
Yeah, if we can make that go. So if you guys don't get a chance to attend, you're going to have to make sure that you at least come listen to the speakers, because we're going to be trying to grab them as they leave the lecture hall and have them at least tell you guys what you're missing if you didn't come, so that next year you'll be sure to attend. But yeah, so to get people registered for this, though, let's dive into this. So what are our dates for the conference? And I'm doing this mainly for selfish reasons, to make sure that I'm there. What are our dates so I can make sure to get my tickets and be there?
October 24th to the 26th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
All right, cool. So just a 3-day, not a big deal. Open to active law enforcement, correct?
Yep.
And I believe in the past, and tell me if this is different or the same, but in the past, you used to have your agency actually had to register you, or at least your training, our training commander had to send in everything for us.
I think the way that it's set up on the website this year is you have to check a block that says I certify that I'm active law enforcement or something like that, and then show your credentials at registration on Sunday night or Monday morning.
Okay. On that question, though, with it being for active law enforcement, and I don't know, we may have in the past. I can't remember if I've run into them or not. Have we ever had anybody international that comes? Can international police officers come?
Yes, we have.
Awesome. So we can get some. I think we had some Mounties that I met once or twice that have come.
Yeah, we get Canada regular.
Canada
very frequently. Yeah, I would put my teeth in this morning. We have New Zealand, Greg. We had what was the island guys? Where are they from? What island?
Been there.
DR's been there. Cayman Islands. Sergeant
Cayman Islands. Yes.
Wait, Steve, did you just say New York?
Oh, I said Dominican Republic.
Oh, for some reason I thought you said New York. I was like,
I mean, we could consider New York as its own,
We could. You're
country.
right. It could be its own country, basically. Yeah.
We've had the Czech Republic team from Brno University over there. They work kind of like a NHTSA of the Czech Republic. Trying to think who else. We may have had 1 or 2 others, but those are the ones that come to mind right away.
Yeah. So if nothing else, like I said, realistically, you have phenomenal training for 3 days. And guys, I'm telling you, it's better training than you're going to get really anywhere, because it's so diverse. They're going to cover so many topics, and all of the instructors, except for me, are the best in their field. I just like to hear myself speak. So that's all. I'm going to be the entertaining one. But the instructors out there are the best in their field. They are the experts. They're the guys that write the books, write the papers, and the other people base curriculums on. So you're getting that. You're getting the crash testing that's going to take place. And the team that you guys bring in every year to do it is phenomenal. They are second to none. The crash tests are just out of this world. And then you leave there with all the data from the crash test. Are we doing that again this year?
That's always the hope.
Yeah. So you leave there with a disc that has all the data on it from all the meters and instruments that you can plug into your real world stuff. Then you also, on top of that, get the ability to network with other professionals from all around the world that are going to come to this conference. So for $99, I'm telling you, for 3 days, that's really the best deal out there.
Eric, I'm going to add, because we've been getting a lot of questions about it too. But as in the past, we've had every year, we're looking at it'll be approved for up to 24 ACTAR CEUs again once we get the speakers finalized here. But that's always been the same as we've done in the past when it was the PSP conference. The speakers that we get and we've submitted to ACTAR, we've never had any issue with the amount. So we're looking at 24, up to 24 CEUs.
It'll probably be 23 CEUs. Because I'm talking.
Well, all right, we'll give you 23 and a half. We'll give you, but guys, a lot of guys have been asking whether there's going to be ACTAR CEUs, because I mean they rely on this conference too to get their CEU allotment they need. So we are looking at that again, like it has always been in the past.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing. I mean, that's one of my guys that works for my company, Chris. He gets all of his CEUs are done from the PSP conference, every renewal, and then he just has extras sprinkled in then from standalone courses that he takes. But yeah, I mean, your guys' conference it's huge. It really is. Great. And then so you mentioned there's hotels. Is there going to be a group rate by any chance for the hotels?
Yes, government rate, $98 a night. There's a Sheraton.
Stop, $98 a night? That's crazy.
Yeah, the Sheraton's beautiful. The courtyard's very nice. It's the Sheraton Erie Bayfront and the Courtyard Marriott Bayfront, or Courtyard Marriott Lake Erie, something like that. Like I said, they're both directly attached to the convention center. You have to walk outside, but it's covered from the one. And then there's a really cool glass sky bridge from the Sheraton over the little inlet that comes over to the convention center.
Awesome. Love it. All right. So there you go. So we talked a little bit about all of the trainings that we're going to have or the speakers that hopefully will be showing up. We talked a little bit about the crashes that are going to be out there and how people are going to register for this and the dates. Anything else you guys can think of that you want to get out there for everybody to hopefully get them excited? I mean, obviously they're going to see your guys' smiling faces there. That's always a big thing, except for Steve. We're going to make him wear a paper bag. So actually that may entice people to come. We'll see.
All right, I'll just turn my video off now.
Now I can put an avatar directly on top of that when I do the editing.
We probably should mention the vendors. They help us out every year.
Yes. Let's talk about them for a little. What vendors do you have coming? Because like I said, obviously I like to promote them because they're such a good part of this show and keeping the podcast up and running and everything. But Virtual Crash, I'm hoping is going to be there. They're always my favorite to see.
I don't have them signed on yet, but we're in talks with them. We're still talking since we only announced this, 2.5 weeks ago, when we learned that PSP was not able to fund it. This has kind of come up quickly on us, but I'm still waiting to hear back from several vendors. But we have, I think, 9 on board already. Since you mentioned Jeff Mutard, his company, Lynn's going to be down with Crash Safety Solutions, Carlson Software, Keystone Precision out of Eastern PA, Forensic Mapping, Andy Klain, CFS, Mike Selves and his group, Vector Forensics, NAPARS is going to come out. I just think I confirmed with ZNF, and I apologize, I can't state they sell scanners, mostly ZNF scanners. Eltron may be there. I'm talking to them. So I think I got everyone on my list. We already have about 8 or 9 and still talking to 2 or 3 other people. So you'll be able to see software and equipment and things like that out there.
And those are all great vendors. I mean, guys, I always see questions on like the ARC Network Facebook group and things like that for software. And I think every software that you just mentioned that's going to be here are pretty much who gets recommended on there. So yeah, if you guys want a chance to come out here and look at some of the software and the hardware that guys are using, this is a great place to do it. The other cool thing too that I like about your conference is after the crash tests in the past, you have your guys' troopers, which your guys' outfit, PSP's outfit, is very well equipped when you look at it compared to other states or especially smaller cities. And you guys have a ton of equipment, from robotic total stations to laser scanners to drones. And Steve, we were talking to you about, in an episode coming up here of using GoPros to do ground scanning, all of this stuff. So, after the crashes, are you guys still planning on letting your guys' troopers kind of run wild and document scenes and everything else that are out there so that guys can get a chance to see some of this stuff in action?
I don't want to speak for Greg, but I think that's the plan, at least to get some hands-on experience like we have in the past with the different techniques and equipment and software that's out there.
Yeah. And what was huge for us. So when I started out, you guys were actually the first conference I came to out of Reconstruction School. And so my department gives me a total station. I had no clue what a total station was. None. Like, they're like, here's this piece of equipment. I'm like, cool. Don't know what to do with it. You know? So I lug it over to the conference and I see your troopers all setting up everywhere. And they're using their total stations to measure these crashes. And I just happened to ask one. I'm like, dude, what in the hell are you guys doing? Like, I don't know how to get this thing up and running. I've tried to read the instruction manual and everything else. And there is always somebody there that is willing to step away and say, hey, you know what? It's not a big formal class, but at least let me show you enough to be dangerous and kind of at least get you up and running. So if you guys are new to this field, this is where the rubber kind of meets the road. Come out here, because if you have questions, ask. There is no reason to leave this conference with unanswered questions. You have such a concentrated collection of experts. Somebody's either going to know, or if they don't know, they're going to tell you who to call to get the answers you need.
I think that's one of the things we tend to overlook is we always put the emphasis on the phenomenal speakers that we have come to the conference and the vendors that bring, just this great amount of new technology and software and equipment. But the attendees themselves bring such a huge amount of knowledge and experience. I mean, that's the whole point of this conference, is to allow guys and gals to network and really learn from each other. I mean, like we were just talking about, I mean, I always, for the last several years, have been mapping the crashes afterwards with one of the drones. And every time I've always had a small little group of people that have been, kind of hovered around learning a little bit because their department is looking to get a drone, or they just got one and they don't know how to, they don't even know how to get it off the ground yet, or, and that's the fun of this conference, is being able to network and teach people like that. Yeah, they get a great deal of information from the speakers, but they get a lot that I think gets overlooked from each other. And that's one of the big reasons to show up at a conference.
If you're game, I'll lay this challenge out there for you. If you're game for it, I will bring the new GoPro setup with the Doka pole and everything that we've been kind of practicing with and playing with. So after the crashes, I was going to scan the vehicles and the scenes with the GoPro camera and on the Doka pole. And if anybody wants to come out and see how we're doing this, because we talk about it in an episode of this podcast, come out. You're more than welcome to walk around with me. Again, I'm not certifying you on it. You're not going to leave with a certificate or anything. But if you at least want to get some information on how we're doing this stuff and see it in action, because you hear us talk about it on these episodes, come out. More than happy to walk around with you and show you what we're doing and show you how to spend your money. So,
absolutely.
Phil's the best at spending my money. So, I'm telling you, he'll be more than happy to help you guys spend your money too.
How much did I cost you guys after our last podcast?
Oh my God. Yeah. So after we get done and this, so Phil texts Steve and he's like, hey man, send me a list of everything we need. And so Steve sends him a list of everything off Amazon. So it was really easy for Phil to put it together, put it in my shopping cart and said, hey, get on Amazon and pay for everything in your shopping cart. So yeah, it is what it is.
Sounds like my wife.
Yes, I got a wife too. Between her and Phil, it gets daunting sometimes. So having you three on here with me tonight actually is a nice break. Until he watches the episode.
and to expand on Steve's point a little bit, I mean, Greg and I have been reviewing the evaluations for years after the seminar. We put them out in different ways, and as we're going over them, I can't tell you, I mean, we've come across that have said, I actually learned just as much or even more after hours or after the crash test, in the roundtable discussions, in the those camaraderie sessions that you mentioned at the top of the show. Just the ability to let your hair down and talk to other guys in the field. And the nice part is, no rank. You might be talking to a chief of some department that, got buying power. He's going to give you his honest opinion on items they purchase. You might be talking to a new guy, like yourself, showing up with the total station, doesn't know how to use it. And just the interactions amongst the group in the other times of the seminar is really the hidden value amongst it all.
Yep. Yeah. And, I'm hoping for any of the Ohio officers that listen to this, especially the ones that have been coming up through my training pipeline, for the reconstruction stuff. Everybody always asks why we don't have a conference in Ohio and when we're going to host one. The answer is never. I will never host a conference in Ohio. Why host one when these guys put the best one on right next door? So for everybody that has asked me when Ohio's conference is going to be, my answer to you is I'll see you in October in Erie, Pennsylvania. So
we moved it closer.
That's the one we go to.
We moved it closer for you. We moved it to Erie so the Ohio guys could come.
Oh yeah, I know. It's
Right.
Erie's hour and 45 minutes for me. So that's super close. And I'm actually teaching recon during your guys' conference. So I'm bringing in a guest instructor to cover my 2 days to come to your conference. So I'll at least be up there Monday and Tuesday. But so if you guys are coming to the conference, make sure you stop by, say hi to me. I'd love to get a chance to talk to you guys. And I'm going to use this as a scouting attempt to get more people for the podcast. So when you guys come to the conference, please come with some ideas and stop by where you see our table set up at. And me and Phil will be sitting there talking. I don't know that Phil will be there. I might have just lied to you all. I'll be there. I'm going to try and find somebody better than Phil. That's not hard. And maybe I'll just bring my crash dummy. Yeah, stop by. And if you guys have ideas for the show that you guys want to see for things coming up in 2023 or more guests, I know we get a lot of great reviews, when Steve was on and we were talking about the EDR data and wait until the Pix4D series drops. We have a whole series coming up on Pix4D, how to use it, how to map with it, and then put it into virtual crash. And then I have Conley Woods coming on, the man behind the curtain. He's like the wizard behind the curtain. Bob's like the floating head in the smoke. And I think Conley's the one behind the curtain, or maybe I have that backwards. I don't know. We'll see which one's more pissed off about that comment to figure it out later. But so we have a whole series of that coming up. It's going to be amazing. We got some of the guys from actual Pix4D coming on to talk and everything. So if you guys have ideas or things you want to see, let us know. And we're more than happy to get those on in the 2023 series. And then if there's topics that are piquing everybody's interest, I'll pass it on to you guys for possible conference editions in the future. So, it's kind of a good way to keep our fingers on the pulse of what guys want to see. There's a lot of people that are out here to make money teaching in the reconstruction field. And I'm not saying that that's bad, like at all. I teach classes and get paid to do it. But for a law enforcement specific training conference, this is a good way to keep our thumb on the pulse of what you guys want from a law enforcement community and what you need and what you feel like you're being left out of, maybe by your departments or your states, things that you guys can't get. We may be able to help you guys out here on the East Coast. Like I said, PSP has always been a phenomenal group to help out anybody that needs it. So it pains me to say that about Pennsylvania, but their police at least are pretty top notch. So guys, so any final words of wisdom? I'm going to let you guys take it. I'm not even going to add to this because there's nothing I could add that could even try and compete or be on the same level as you guys. So, Mark, I'll tell you what, we're going to let you go first, and we're going to save Greg for last because I feel like he should have the hardest segment. So if you guys steal his idea, he's going to have to come up with something on the fly.
I would just reiterate what you kind of been saying all along. If you haven't been there, this is the year. We're kind of in a transition with things. We're always striving to make it better, and we'd love to have you out there.
Oh, you know what? On that, real quick, because I saw it come across just our internal chat here as we've been recording. Are you going to have T-shirts this year?
Yes, and that's right. I actually did send you the link to that. I thought that was the one for the registration. That was not. So the link that I found was actually to purchase the T-shirt. So I'm sure you can add that. Oh yeah, to the list of stuff.
Is it going to be the PCARS logo instead of the Pennsylvania State Police logo?
It will be PCARS logo, yes.
Okay, because again, that it always gives me a weird rash whenever I put the Pennsylvania State Police logo on my chest on my T-shirt. I don't know what it is. It's weird. It's like I take it off and the Ohio flag is underneath of it as a rash. It's super weird. I don't know. So
odd. I want to get that checked out.
So yeah. Perfect. No, I love it. Yeah, and actually, the T-shirts are really good quality. So yeah, I'll make sure I'll make sure to throw that link on there also. Guys, make sure that you're buying these shirts to support these guys. Like I said, they put so much time and effort into this. How long have you guys been planning for this conference now? Because let me guess, you probably have put easily 6 hours into planning for this.
A day.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when do you guys actually start planning? Towards the beginning of the year, probably.
The day after the conference.
The day after the last one. Yeah.
That's wild. And it shows. It really does. I mean, with the amount of everything, the professionalism and how smooth the conference goes every year, it shows. It shows how much time and effort you put into it. So, guys, if you're listening to this, even if you can't make the conference, do these guys a favor and click on the link and just buy a t-shirt. If nothing else, buy a t-shirt and support these guys. They are out of this world. The amount of work and everything that they do for the reconstruction community is second to none. And help these guys get out here and keep this going for law enforcement. If nothing else, you know what? Us poor officers from Ohio need it. So help us get training so that we continue to be able to do our jobs. So Steve, take it away, man. What's your final takeaway? And then we're gonna go over to Greg here for his final word of wisdom.
Well, I don't want to steal Greg's thunder because
yes, you do.
He won't know what to say then. But I'm just looking forward to being able to see everybody again this year. I know the last 2 years have been an issue. One was canceled, then we went virtual, then we were PA only. I'm excited that we're back to being open up to, across the country and international. I can't wait to see everybody again at the conference. It's going to be a little bit different brand, but it's the same people, the same minds running the conference, organizing the conference. So it's going to be the same great conference that we've had for the last 2 decades. It's just, a little bit different name and a different venue this year. But, definitely, we want to get as many guys and gals to be able to get there and network together. Because like I said, that's the big place where everyone starts to learn is to network. And just, put those dates on the calendar. Remember, it is Monday through Wednesday now. That's not a mistake, instead of Tuesday through Thursday. So that Monday through Wednesday, the 24th through the 26th of October. So, and I'll get you the links to put on the YouTube.
Yep. Perfect. That'll work. All right, Greg, we have been waiting for this moment. If you've listened to our previous episodes, we may have mentioned this mysterious person from Pennsylvania whose name starts with S and ends with an Sullenberger. So now the masses actually get to hear from you. So lay it on us. What do you have for us that you're looking forward to, or that these guys can expect to come out and come to the conference?
Well, a couple of things. You, at the beginning of this, you said something about us being the best, and I appreciate that. We try to do a good job, and I hope that it shows. And since Pez is on here, I got to give him credit. They jokingly said the day after the last seminar is when the planning for the next one starts, and that's not quite accurate. Normally, the night of the last day, we sit down and Pez leads an after action report, and we say, look, what did we do wrong? What did we do well? What can we do better moving forward? And then we start the next day and move on. And, we just try to refine every year. If we do something wrong, try not to do that the next year. Steve did steal a little bit of my thunder there. I'm very anxious to see everybody coming back. It hurt me a little bit last year to stand up and PA only after we've had so much support from so many guys from so many states and other countries even coming to this. It hurt me to stand up there and realize that there were 100 guys or 150 guys that wanted to come that couldn't come. And that absolutely was not our choice. That's, the law enforcement world, that's what came down, and that's what we had to deal with. But I'm very excited to see everyone there and to jump on something that was said 5 minutes or so ago. What I really love about this is, we try to do our best during the day to bring in top-notch world quality speakers and very good crash testing. Brad Muir's team almost always hits exactly the way they tell you they're going to. They rarely ever disappoint. I don't know that I can say I've ever seen them disappoint with the crash test. They always do a good job. But as Pez mentioned, I've had several guys come to me over the years and say, look, the seminar during the day is great, but I learned just as much, and I get to hang out with all these officers from different states and even different countries in the evening. I've had so many guys come up to me and say, it's just the atmosphere here, that it's all law enforcement. I learned during the day and even learn and relax during the night. It's just the total package sort of is what we try to put together and just try to do our best in putting out a good seminar for guys.
Yeah. And so, you know what, like I said, I know I can't throw a comment out there that would even compare, but let me throw this offer out there and we'll kick it around. And guys, I'm telling you, this is not a promise. If you're listening to this episode, I'm going to try and convince Greg and Steve and Mark here to take me up on this, but I can't promise anything. But if you come and you bring a bottle of bourbon from your hometown, I will try my hardest to bring and possibly do a little social time with everybody, a little choir practice specific to some bourbons. And maybe we can share and sample from everybody's hometowns and just kind of see what's out there. But like I said, it's not a promise. I'm just going to try and talk these guys into it. So, guys, I really, really appreciate your time tonight to come on the show. Like I said, I know it was super nice to not have Phil here, but even better, though, to get the three of you on here in his place. And, you know, we just, again, can't thank you guys enough for all that you do for the community and putting this conference on and the amount of work that you do. Hopefully we get a ton of support this year. And we look forward to seeing you guys here in a month and a half. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the day, guys. As always, if you have a case that you want us to review for free, or you just want to connect with us, jump on over to crashtechreconstruction.com. Also, remember to follow us on Facebook at Crash Tech, the Expert Angle Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our show and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crash Tech Reconstruction Services. And finally, remember to always leave your accident victims better off than you found them, because at the end of the day, everything we do is for them.